All right, what's up everybody? Today we are in Penn Station, or the new Penn Station, and we're going to be commuting all the way back to Grand Central Terminal. Now you may notice major changes here at Penn Station, the Long Island Railroad. The ceiling heights are so much higher. You can see the brand new entrance to the LIRR right here. They actually blew a hole in the ceiling so people can come in and out a little bit easier instead of having to walk the entire length of the train station and go out the side entrance. So we're going to be doing a little bit of a walk around the interior just so you could really see the difference from the old Penn Station and the new Penn Station, and then we will finally go up to street level and check out Grand Central Terminal. All right, now I want to take you under here so you can get an idea of what Penn Station used to look like. So this is essentially what the old station used to look like. Very, very low ceilings. Almost kind of looks ratty. Definitely not a good first impression on a lot of travelers, particularly international travelers. So they really did a good job here. Now, if we were to make a left, this is going to take us to the New Jersey Transit section, but we're going to take a right down this corridor just so you can see a little bit more of the old Penn Station, so to speak. Now, the vast majority of the tracks down here are going to be for the Long Island Railroad, but you also have the New Jersey Transit. Obviously, you could also get the 1, 2, 3 AC and E trains. We'll now make this right, the central corridor. And then we'll loop back and we'll go up and start our walk to the terminal. It's good to get this footage because I have a feeling that they're going to do complete renovations on everything. So this will be a pretty good time capsule, so to speak, to remember what the old Penn Station looked like. I mean, yeah, you even have a Chick-fil-A in here. So you have a brand new Starbucks, brand new Rosie's Pizza, Chick-fil-A, Dos Toros. Talk about a difference, right? You even have a Raising Cane's in here, which is crazy. Shake Shack, a brand new Gotham News. If you were to make a left and continue to walk down by the AC and E train, you have an Insomnia Cookies. There's the Chick-fil-A there. And then you also have a Pret. And on all the columns, they put these big TV screens that tell you all the tracks. So you see the Long Beach line, the Ronkonkoma line, the Babylon line. This is the Raising Cane's to the left. Look at how packed it is. Raising Cane's just recently came to New York City. They have one of the main locations in Times Square. And there's the Shake Shack and the Dos Toros. I remember coming into the city as a kid a long, long time ago. And right here used to be a Taco Bell and like some Jamaican patty place, and it was very, very dirty. I think there was even a Pizza Hut there at one time. Okay, now let's head up the main new entrance, which is kind of a cool experience because as you look up, if you look up through the glass, you could see the spire of the Empire State Building, which is pretty cool. Once we get off this escalator, we're now officially going to be at the Penn 2 project, which is the new revitalization of the Penn district that was put on by development company Vornado, which is publicly traded under the ticker symbol VNO. But look at that. Isn't that a pretty amazing view? I mean, talk about a first impression for a traveler coming from JFK Airport, taking the air train to Jamaica Station, taking the Long Island Railroad to Penn, and then this is your first New York City view. That is really iconic, and they did an awesome job. Even this plaza is really nice. They have a Los Tacos. I'll zoom up on the roof. You could even see people eating, drinking. There's a rooftop bar and a lounge. It's pretty impressive here. And we'll turn around so you can see the new entrance to Madison Square Garden, and you also have a new entrance to the New Jersey Transit as well. And this is where we came from, entrance to Penn Station. Okay, let's go and make a left on 7th Avenue, and we'll head all the way up to 42nd Street. So this is going to run us directly into Times Square, where we will bang a right and go all the way across town to the east side. We have Grand Central Terminal. Right on the corner of 34th Street and 7th, this is the main Macy's. So super convenient. If we were to make a right on 34th Street and head east, it would take us up to Herald Square. Now on the corner of 34th Street and 7th, this used to be the main entrance to the Long Island Railroad, which is still an entrance, but it's the old entrance, I would say the secondary entrance. It's also good to note that it is a Friday night in New York. You can see the lights at Times Square already. One of the things we're going to see on this walking tour is the new One Times Square. It's really gone under extensive renovations, and I believe there's going to be a museum there. And the ball that they dropped on New Year's Eve is no longer going to be used, and that ball will be in that museum. This is now 35th Street. This is a shot looking back towards Penn Station and Macy's. Lots of new shops here too. It's like a Mexican restaurant. I've been noticing a ton of these cannabis shops popping up everywhere. Another thing I really like is they expanded the sidewalk. I think this is one of my favorite times of day in New York City, just when the sun is setting and you can kind of see the lights of the city come on. It's very, very cool. It's almost like the city really comes alive, especially on a Friday night. Look at this place. This is Dubai Chocolate. It's like a desserts and bakery place, perhaps from Dubai. That's pretty interesting. I've never seen this before. Maybe I'll have to check it out. It's on the corner of 37th Street, 7th Avenue, in between 37th and 38th. Another good spot if you're coming to New York. Honestly, one of my favorite pizza places in New York City is right here. It's called Made in New York Pizza. They have multiple locations, but I think this is better pizza than Joe's. My favorite location is on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. I believe it's on the corner of 80th Street and Columbus. I forget which one. It's either Columbus or Amsterdam. Actually, I think it is Amsterdam. It's very close to the Museum of Natural History, so that's a really good slice. Made in New York pizza, very good. There's another cannabis shop. These are like all over now. Now, some of the landlords here are getting a little desperate due to the very high vacancy of some of the retail units. And for whatever reason, I won't say, but a lot of the smoke shops offer over asking for the rent. Now, I'm not saying they're all bad tenants. Some are actually very, very good if done appropriately and if done correctly. This place is pretty good. I always go to the location in Miami Beach, particularly South Beach, when I'm down there. When I point the camera to the top of the buildings, you can see what I'm talking about. How the lights are kind of coming on. It's almost kind of like a light show. Lights are like sparkling. It's pretty cool. In one block, we're going to pass the Hotel Margaritaville. It has a very interesting restaurant there too. Like a restaurant and bar overlooks Times Square. It's a pretty popular place, but not really my style, but a lot of people do like it. And if you look between these buildings, you can see the spire of the Bank of America Tower. The Bank of America Tower sits on the northernmost side of 42nd Street and Avenue of the Americas, adjacent from Bryant Park and Salesforce Tower. Here we have yet another smoke shop and a dollar slice place, 99-cent slice, which many a times now is like $1.25. So here's the main entrance to Margaritaville. This is the main entrance to the hotel. You could see some people eating in the restaurant. It's actually kind of cool looking. And now we're getting really, really close to 42nd Street. We're coming up on the corner of 41st and 7th. And you're going to be able to see the top of One Times Square. New York! So right there, that kind of little pencil thing sticking out of that spire, that's where they used to drop the ball on New Year's Eve. And you can see the facade looks really different of One Times Square. Here's the Red Lobster on the corner of West 41st Street, which actually looks packed tonight. Red Lobster is filed for bankruptcy, but I think they're post-bankruptcy now. So they probably closed a lot of locations, consolidated. And this one's still alive and well, right on the corner of 41st and 7th. Right, 42nd Street and 7th. You can really see the foot traffic picking up now. Lots of tourist activity. It's one of the nicer days in New York. It's been like freezing. Very, very windy. We're gonna make this right and go all the way down to Lexington and Madison Avenues. This is the main subway entrance. I'll quickly pop in here so you can see it. So here you can pretty much get all the train lines. 1, 2, 3, 7, NQRW, and the shuttle to Grand Central. I feel like they should leave those doors open all the time, just because it kind of slows down the traffic. You have to keep opening the door. Anyway, we're now crossing over past Broadway. If you were to make a right on Broadway, that'll take you to the famous Joe's Pizza. We're going to cross the street to kind of avoid the scaffolding, but here's the brand new facade of 1 Times Square. Looks great. Okay, we'll make a right by the H&M. And this will take us right to the main entrance of Bank of America. We're now headed towards New York City's Bryant Park, as well as the Stephen Schwarzman Building, the New York Public Library. .151 is right here. I believe you have BMO Capital Markets in here, as well as the NASDAQ. A little bit of a fun fact. If you're walking down 42nd Street, in between Broadway and Avenue of the Americas, if you take this little detour right here, you'll be able to see a very cool U.S. national debt clock, which I'll show you right now. Perhaps a bit depressing to look at, but not a lot of people know about it. You'd almost miss it. It's like this little kind of hole in the wall. But you'll be able to see a running live U.S. national debt clock. All right, let's see what we got. I think they also tell us our particular share of the national debt. Okay, our national debt, 35 trillion, $849,139,580,957. And our family share is 690 grand. I feel like we could do better. I think we could pump those numbers up. I feel like those are rookie numbers. We could probably do, 40 trill, 55 trill. Anyway, it's just a quick detour. We'll bang a left back on 42nd Street. And across the street, this is actually a very nice hotel. So if you're thinking about staying in New York City and you want to be close to Times Square, but in an affordable and nice hotel, this Hilton Garden Inn right here, 136 42nd Street, it's actually pretty good. I've stayed here many times for like business and stuff, or if I'm just tired, I don't want to leave the city. This is a pretty good property. I think there's also a Planet Hollywood in here now. That's relatively new. Adjacent to us, this is Salesforce Tower. Mark Benioff. Now, in the sunlight, you can make out the building a little bit better in terms of the color. It's like a turquoise kind of green. It's actually very cool. And then we're walking in front of Bank of America Tower right now. Beautiful cityscape in the background. Here you can see into the lobby a little bit. But this is one of my favorite shots in all of New York City. And you're gonna see exactly why in 3 seconds as the Empire State Building comes into view. Very, very cool. Interesting color scheme on the Empire tonight. We'll take a quick pause to check it out. Very cool. We'll wait for this light. Right. If we were to make a left and go up Avenue of the Americas, this will take us all the way to Central Park. I'll try to zoom in on the back of the New York Public Library. Now, if you haven't been to the NYPL in a long time, you got to go inside because they did a complete gut renovation and overhaul. There's a brand new reading room in there, brand new research room. It's very impressive property. And this is Bryant Park. And in a moment here, we'll pass the SUNY School of Optometry. Here we have a Sweet Green, as well as a Joe and the Juice. This building is 1114 Avenue of the Americas. Very unique, and it has a pretty cool lobby too. So we're now making our way across town to 5th Avenue. But since we have the light, we might as well cross just to get an interesting shot standing in the middle of 42nd Street, looking back over to Times Square. This is also the very famous Bryant Park bathroom. Something fun to do on the weekends. I think it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Right where we're standing, just off to the right, they have free juggling classes. So people come out with all their gear and stuff, and you could chill and juggle and meet people. It's kind of like a fun thing to do for the summer. What we're looking at now is one of the newest Class A office towers from Manhattan. It is One Vanderbilt. I've given this advice before, but if you have an American Express card, if you call the number on the back of the card, ask for a reservation at the Centurion Lounge. It sits at the top of One Vanderbilt, and you have awesome views. You don't really even need to go to the restaurant. You can just like buy one drink. It's very pricey, but check it out. It has unbelievable views overlooking Bryant Park and really all of the city. Now, when I had dinner there, they seated me right next to the window, and it felt like you could literally reach out and touch the spire of the Chrysler Building. It was pretty impressive. This is the subway entrance to the B, D, F, M, and 7 train. The 7 train now has been expanded to go to the Hudson Yards. So the last stop in Manhattan on the 7 train is 34th Street Hudson Yards, and the last stop on the 7 train in Queens is Flushing Main Street, which is actually the largest Chinatown in all of New York City. Okay, we now are on the corner of 5th Avenue and 42nd Street, and we're sitting waiting across the street, and we have these great views of both the Chrysler Building and One Vanderbilt. And here's the main entrance to the New York Public Library. This building off to the right used to be the famous Nat Sherman. Not sure if anybody remembers that, but it used to be this awesome looking cigar place. It was like one of the original cigar shops in New York City. Now, unfortunately, that went under, and in its place is this new legal cannabis place, which I'm not a big fan of because, in my view, it's kind of destroyed the facade of this beautiful building. I mean, it looks good, but I don't know. I kind of like the original Nat Sherman better. But it says New York Licensed Cannabis Dispensary. I think COVID is really what put the nail in the coffin to Nat Sherman. Okay, we are now approaching the corner of Madison Avenue, and into view is Grand Central Terminal, along with Pershing Square. Looks pretty busy right out front. There's a lot of people who come into the city from upstate New York and Connecticut on Friday night to go out to dinner or dessert or for cocktails or drinks or something like that. We're gonna bang this left on Vanderbilt Avenue. And we'll have a pretty good view of the MetLife building. This is Pershing Square Plaza now. Okay, we're now officially in Grand Central Terminal. And look at how beautiful this place is. This is a good place to grab drinks before your train. It's also kind of cool to see the contrast between the more modernist Penn Station and the more classic Grand Central Terminal. So if you guys enjoyed that walking tour from Penn Station to Grand Central Station, feel free to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and we'll see you all in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.